Hello, and welcome back to The Crime Reel. For today's true crime narration, we shall be visiting Boodles Jewellers in London. This was the scene of an audacious robbery, the likes of which are usually reserved for movies and TV shows. Despite the theft being compared to the Ocean's 11 film franchise, it was actually a Channel 4 documentary called The £1 Million Necklace Inside Boodles, which reportedly brought the jewellers to the thieves' attention. This hour-long fly-on-the-wall documentary was mainly centred around the design and construction of this elaborate necklace, but it also included an insight into the running of the company and the family's lives. Part of the programme showed details of company executives travelling to Monaco, where they would often visit in order to meet with potential clients. It also showed viewers the huge amount of extremely valuable stock held by the company. Boodles is a luxury jewellers based in the UK. The company started in Liverpool in 1798 and was originally known as Boodle and Dunthorne. In 1910, Mr. Dunthorne choked to death on a chicken bone, and the same year Mr. Boodle also passed away. Another established local jeweller, Mr. Wainwright, took over the business, and it has remained as a family-owned and operated business to this day. The company now has 9 stores located in London, Liverpool, Manchester, Chester and Dublin, and employs over 100 members of staff. They have their own workshops where they design many of their unique pieces, including their iconic rain dance ring, which is featured in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. Their luxurious flagship shop is located on New Bond Street in Mayfair, where this family-run business successfully competes with its far more famous neighbours, including Tiffany's and Cartier. In February 2016, Boodles chairman Nicholas Wainwright was contacted by a man called Simon Glass, who said he was a business associate of one of Nicholas's contacts. Simon told Nicholas that he, along with his friend, a Russian businessman by the name of Alexander, were interested in purchasing some high-value diamonds as an investment. After various phone calls over the following weeks, Nicholas agreed to take a meeting with the men in Monaco. On Wednesday, March the 2nd, 2016, Nicholas met with Alexander and Simon to discuss their potential investment purchase. The meeting was a success, and the men agreed to buy 7 precious gems from Boodles, including a heart-shaped diamond with a value of £2.2 million. As is common practice within the diamond trade, it was agreed that the men's diamond expert would be given access to inspect the gems. Once satisfied, the expert would then place the diamonds inside a bag, which is then padlocked shut so that no one can interfere with the contents between the inspection and collection. This inspection meeting was scheduled to take place 8 days later on the 10th of March 2016 at the Boodles store in New Bond Street. The appointed expert, Anna, arrived at the store dressed in a dark coat with a silk scarf for an 11 a.m. meeting with the Boodles expert, Emma, together with Nicholas. Upon Anna's arrival, she was taken to the basement of the store to assess the diamonds. Each of the diamonds was stored in their own small box, lined with tissue paper. Once inspected, the boxes would be placed inside the bag, which Anna would padlock. Accompanied by Emma and Nicholas, Anna inspected the diamonds and confirmed that she was happy with their quality. Just under an hour later, as the meeting was drawing to a close, Nicholas went to deal with a phone call, and Anna left the shop, agreeing to return to collect the items once her client had transferred the payment. The following day, Nicholas spoke to Alexander on the phone. Alexander confirmed that he had spoken to Anna and that they were happy to proceed with the purchase. He advised that the money would be transferred so that they could then arrange for collection of the diamonds. However, the money never arrived. Nicholas and his staff started to become very suspicious and decided to check the gems. They took the locked black bag to a specialist facility at Heathrow Airport to be x-rayed. When this x-ray highlighted that there was something amiss with the contents of the bag, they decided that it was necessary to open it. Upon opening, they found that the bag contained pebbles of a similar size and weight to the diamonds. Instead of containing over £4.2 million worth of precious gems, the bag was worthless. A flying squad investigation was quickly underway. With the help of CCTV footage, it was soon established that the businessmen were actually part of an international crime ring. It was identified that Alexander and Simon were actually Mikhail Yovanovich and Christoph Stankovic, both of whom were from France. Upon further investigation, it revealed that on the 7th of March, 3 days before the theft, Christoph rented a grey Citroën DS4 at Charles de Gaulle Airport near Paris. 2 days later, Christoph, along with his accomplice Mikhail, drove into England via the Channel Tunnel. That same afternoon, Anna and another female accomplice arrived in the UK by train. Investigators found that on the night before the robbery, Christoph and Mikhail, along with 2 other females, checked into a Best Western hotel in Essex. Meanwhile, Anna and her female accomplice checked into a small budget hotel in North London. Anna, Mikhail and Christoph met at a cafe in North London at about 8:15 p.m. that evening. After discussing their plan, they travelled to New Bond Street to carry out surveillance on Boodles. At approximately 8:30 a.m. on the 10th of March, the 2 men and 2 women checked out of the Best Western Hotel. They left their hire car behind and got a taxi to New Bond Street. They arrived at about 9:30 a.m. Meanwhile, Anna and the 4th female accomplice checked out of their hotel in North London and took a taxi to the Willow Walk pub near Victoria Station. Anna made her way to New Bond Street, while the unnamed female waited at the pub with a change of clothes ready for Anna. Anna was welcomed into Boodles and taken to the basement to inspect the diamonds. She inspected each one before putting them into individual small boxes and then into the black bag, which she then padlocked. At this point, the man who had been calling himself Alexander called Boodles to speak to Nicholas. With Nicholas out of the room, Anna placed the locked bag of diamonds into her handbag. Emma immediately told her that she could not do this as the payment for the diamonds had not yet been received. Anna, seemingly confused by this, apologised and placed the bag back onto the table. However, she had actually replaced the bag with an identical one which contained boxes of pebbles rather than diamonds. Anna then calmly concluded the meeting. She got up and walked straight out of the store, carrying over £4 million worth of stolen gems in her handbag. Once outside, she was met by the 2 female accomplices and she quickly transferred the diamonds to one of these women. Anna then returned to the Willow Walk pub and changed her clothes, replacing her dark coat with a light one. Anna and her accomplice then returned to Paris via the Eurostar. Meanwhile, Mikhail, Christoph and the 2 women went back to their hotel, picked up their hire car and made their way back to France. Less than 3 hours after the robbery, and prior to anyone at Boodles realising that over £4 million worth of gems had been stolen, the whole gang, along with the diamonds, were back on French soil. Despite the crime being meticulously planned, it wasn't long before the CCTV footage meant that Scotland Yard was closing in on them. The investigation led the police to the hire car company where Christoph had hired the grey Citroën. He had completed this car rental in his own name. Christoph was arrested shortly after and was sentenced to 4 years in prison for conspiracy to steal. Following this, images of the gang were circulated among police forces and Mikhail was identified as he had also used his real name when booking the Channel Tunnel tickets. An international arrest warrant was issued, but the trail of evidence ran cold and no further arrests were made in the months following the crime. However, Scotland Yard continued to work on the case for over 3 years with assistance from various European countries. In January 2020, this perseverance paid off when 27-year-old Mikhail was extradited from Italy. He was charged with conspiracy to steal, to which he pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 3 years and 8 months in prison by Southwark Crown Court. To date, none of the other gang members have been caught, although the investigation remains active. It is believed that this is the largest value single incident of shoplifting in British history. That concludes today's story. Please add any comments down below. Thanks very much for listening to The Crime Reel. Stay safe. Goodbye. Psst. What is your favourite heist movie? Add that to the comments. Goodbye.